All right, let's have a look at this topic here. It's called how to multiply by 10. Now, it's not just 10 we're going to learn how to multiply by. We're going to multiply by factors of 10 as well. But if we're going to multiply by 10, so first of all, let's take a number. Let's say the number is 15. We're going to multiply that by 10. Well, if you do that on the calculator, you'll end up with 150. Let's just check that. Here's the calculator. Really old, crusty one, sorry. 15 times 10, there it is, equals. It says 150, and it's not, it's much better like that, isn't it? Yeah, okay, here we go. So 150, I think I'll use a different calculator. But if you look at the 150, you'll also notice it's got a decimal place just to the right of the number. We're looking at this thing here, and that decimal is really important because notice there's actually going to be two ways of multiplying by 10. The first way is just to add a 0 to the end of the number, which works at least some of the time. But the other way is to take the decimal place, and if I was just to type in 15 on the calculator, in fact, let's just do that now. Here we go. Here's the calculator. I'm just going to type in 15, 1, 5, there it is. You'll notice there's a decimal place to the right of the number. And if I multiply that by 10, here we go, multiply by 10 equals. What's happened is that decimal place has moved one space to the right. So if we multiply by 10, all we're doing is we're taking the 15, there it is, with its decimal place, which is there, and we're going to move that decimal place one space to the right. And that's going to be its new position over there. So in that space now, we put in a placeholder. And that placeholder is a 0. So we no longer have a decimal place here, we now have a decimal place over here. So whenever we're multiplying by 10, either the quick way is just to add a 0 to the end, which again, doesn't work always, but it works most of the time, or we can move decimal place one space to the right. So here's another example. Let's say we've got 21, and we're going to multiply that by 10. I can take my 21, my decimal place, which is there, move it one space to the right, which is now here, put a placeholder in that gap, and the answer is 210. Or I can just add a 0. So 21 times 10 is 210. So there are two useful ways. All right, let's take a look at a slightly different example. Let's make it a decimal example. And this is where adding a 0 to the end just doesn't work so well. But moving the decimal place does work. So let's say we had 0.0048. All right, so if we multiply that by 10, so I'm going to write the question, or write out the question again, or write out the thing I'm multiplying by again. Here it is, 0.0048. And this time I've made that dot very, very small. And the reason I made it very small is because I'm about to move it one space to the right. So now I move it one space to the right, its new position is now there. And so the answer is that. So the answer is now 0.048. The first 0 we don't need two leading zeros. So we keep a leading 0, and we have a decimal place which we've now moved to that position. So the answer is 0.48. All right, let's try another number. Let's try this time 149.3. And we're, 3.5, here we go, multiplied by 10. There it is. This time, we can't just add a 0 to the end. That won't help us. But we can move the decimal place one space to the right. So it was there. It's going to become the new place in there. So let's now write it out. So it's going to be 149.3. New space is now in here, 0.5. And there is our answer.